Hello, everybody. It's me, John Maiden. It's now almost 2 years later since I last recorded those videos and posted them to YouTube regarding a petition I filed all the way back in July of 2020. Now, here we are in June of 2022, and my worst nightmares have absolutely come true. On last Friday, was that June 17th, 2022? Kristen and Ricky Carnahan lost custody of all four girls who were assigned to their care. Three of the girls that they lost custody of are my daughters, Elizabeth, Victoria, and Aurelia Maiden. The fourth little girl is named Brinley, and these four little girls have been through hell. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on up here in New York, and I can't get access to any information, regardless of the fact that it's my daughters who are involved in all this. And we're talking about a violent convicted felon where allegedly there was an armed handgun found. Anyway, that it's really bad. Uh, let's see. I guess it was probably about 3 weeks ago. I got served on a Friday night with a custody petition from Kristen's mother, her aunt, and her stepbrother. Then I guess after the weekend, on like Tuesday night, I got served with another petition from a whole nother party. This name I didn't even recognize, Lynn Ormsby Massengill, and I've since found out that that's Ricky Carnahan's biological mother. I've also since found out that Ricky Carnahan got arrested twice on May 10th and May 12th. Once for trying to forge a check, I guess. He broke into the house and must have taken one of Kristen's checks and wrote himself a check for $4,500. And the other one, I don't know. It seems like there's domestic violence involved. Kristen gets all pissy when you talk about that. She really, I guess, doesn't understand who she's with, or maybe she does, and her addiction is just so bad that she, and Ricky have something really illegal going on. He's got some big time connections down in North Jersey and New York City, and they're alleged a little bit through this. But if you go back and look at Ricky's criminal history, which holy cannoli Batman is worse than mine. I mean, I'm the choir boy for sure, but I don't have any violent crimes. I don't have any drug convictions. I think there might have been. Anyway, I digress. But hey, here is an emergency. Now, you got to listen to this part. On Friday, June 17th, there were probably close to 30 people in the courtroom. There were, at one point, 9 or 10 different attorneys, three of which had to recuse themselves in the beginning. There was me, Kristen, Ricky, Alan Crookshank, Cheryl Maxwell, and then all the different people, Kristen's mother, all of those. And they were all in the courtroom at once. It was a circus. Anyway, there was so much weird stuff, but there's a lot of weird stuff. So we'll just continue with that. I don't think he gave anybody, I don't think he swore anybody in or made anybody take an oath for one thing, unless I had a stroke and missed it, or there's some, new rule of procedure. I don't know. But anyway, listen to this. So I had like three motions and two motions, a cross motion, and a new petition before the court. Bruno used his magic wand like he always does and dismissed everything. And those are my matters. Then there were a couple other petitions, like I said, and he just decided to do what he always does, which is whatever he wants to do. And he decided to award custody of all four girls to that woman, Lynn Ormsby Massengill, who I guess just moved up here sometime in May. She's from here, obviously. I mean, that's I guess. Well, I know Scruffy is her. I guess Ricky's father. Man, what a weird group. Anyway, so she's from here, but she lives in Alabama. So when Judge Bruno asked, if you were to be granted temporary custody of these four girls, where would you reside? And Lynn Ormsby said, Alabama. Now, that went over like a lead balloon in the courtroom, and her attorney was, oh my gosh. I don't know if that was her attorney, whoever, but obviously that's not a good thing to say when you're in New York State trying to tell the court that you plan to leave the state with these children. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going on right now. Anyway, before I get too carried away, let me read this. This has everybody's panties in a bunch. I mean, I finally, spent $500 one day and made all these copies and digital copies of things, and thinking I was going to use them in court. So the one that I think everybody's panties in a bunch over is that 200-page perfected appeal and annotated brief that's written by my attorney Todd Monahan in Albany. That thing, holy cannoli, as I like to say, or holy toilet paper, Batman. Anyway, listen to this. Family Court, State of New York, in the matter of a motion for child custody under Article 6 of the Family Court Act, I, John Maiden, against Lynn Ormsby Massengill, Family Unit 10590. Now we have all new docket numbers for these. 00547, 548, and 549-22. This is a motion by me, of course, and the relief that I am seeking, there are multiple things. First is to stop all child support orders immediately. I don't even know where my money's going. I think what may have triggered this whole latest shit show, because I can't even imagine what my daughters have gone through for the last, almost 10 years with these people. But I don't know where my money's going now. It just seems like my money's going out the window and nobody cares. So I'm trying to get them to stop the child support payments immediately. That's number one. Number one, chronologically, not number one in significance or importance. Certainly, I'd like to have my 3 little girls sitting with me watching TV right now, but that's not happening. I just went through Father's Day without them again. Anyway, number 2, dismiss all orders of protection against John Maiden being used to prevent Maiden from having contact with his children due to the extreme nature of this emergency of domestic violence and abuse, presenting a demonstrable threat to Elizabeth Victoria and Aurelia Maiden. Immediately permit Maiden to have emergency physical visitation and establish communication with the children by phone to dispel their fears and explain what is happening and what Maiden is doing in support of their best interest and well-being. 3, since no extraordinary circumstances exist and there is no sound legal basis for Maiden, the biological father of Elizabeth Victoria and Aurelia, to be denied custody of these children, grant physical and legal custody to John Maiden per established law in New York State regarding the rights of parents. And then Exhibit A is just like I said. It's the 200-page, perfected appeal and annotated brief for the reversal of decisions by Clinton County Family Court since a petition by me, like I said, almost 2 years ago now. So that's in the pipeline. And the only thing that what held it up for a year, not quite a year, was me being diagnosed with cancer last June. So that delayed everything. I was diagnosed with stage 2 esophageal cancer after an endoscopy and colonoscopy performed in Albany at the VA hospital on June 29th of 2021. I didn't know if I was going to live or die. On January 24th of 2022, they were scheduled to remove my entire esophagus. But through the grace of God, when I went for that endoscopy on December 4th, they said, your cancer is gone, Mr. Maiden. And so far, so good. It hasn't returned. Anyway, since none of those extraordinary circumstances exist, there's really nothing for them, to deny me custody of my children. So that really ends it. Once you understand or even get a whiff of what's in that 200-page appeal, they don't stand a chance. There are no oral arguments at this point with the 3rd Judicial District. It's all what's on paper. And all you got to do is go like this and feel the weight of one. I think Alan Cruikshank's response is, I don't know, 5 pages long, 3 pages long, including headers and everything. Anyway, the next part of this is father's affirmation in support of motion for the custody of children. Again, same numbers as before. Again, me against Lynn Ormsby, Massengill, Davis, or Carnahan. I say 1, no extraordinary circumstances or other legal basis has ever been legally determined by this court to deny John Maiden physical and legal custody of his biological children. Exhibit B, prejudice and bias are not the basis for determining child custody, and biological parents have an unalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that is guaranteed by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution and protected by New York state law. I don't know why my nose starts itching as soon as I start reading. The actions taken by Clinton County Family Court in the past are gross violations of the U.S. Constitution and New York State family law and must be corrected to rectify the gross injustice inflicted upon Elizabeth Victoria and Aurelia Maiden by this court. From October 3rd to May 2nd, 2013, and this is I'm offering as evidence of prejudice and bias, based on an investigation initiated by, guess who, Keith M. Bruno, while representing Kristen Dupree from 2012 to 2014, Judge Timothy Lawless, the puppet master of these little puppets, Judge Timothy Lawless ordered investigations into allegations of child abuse and domestic violence against John Maiden. All investigations, whether they were in Pennsylvania in Bucks County or whether they were done in Clinton County, almost 2 years later, by the Clinton County Department of Social Services and the Office of Children and Family Services in Albany, determined that, quote unquote, there is no credible evidence that children were abused or maltreated. Therefore, the report has been determined unfounded. I repeat, unfounded. An obvious conflict of interest in the origin of the illegal campaign against John Maiden, despite knowledge to the contrary regarding John Maiden and child abuse, Clinton County Family Court still entertains, legitimizes, and amplifies these defamatory allegations against John Maiden while destroying the lives of his daughters as collateral damage to the institutional corruption of Clinton County. In conclusion, I say I assert my parental rights. The extraordinary circumstances created by Richard Carnahan Jr. and Kristen Carnahan and surrounding the violent events of May 2022 dictate that John Maiden be granted full custody of his biological children. Should the court continue down this misguided path of punishing John Maiden without due cause, this matter shall be joined on appeal as part of AD 533402 before the 3rd Judicial District Court of Appeals in Albany, where the court's gross violations of the law have been well documented and annotated by Attorney Todd Monahan according to New York state law. And then in Exhibit C, we have this message, we have this message that Elizabeth, my 14-year-old daughter, is sending to her grandmother surrounding these events, I guess, where Elizabeth calls it a dick move. There was a period of time, I guess, where Kristen's mother came and got the girls, and Kristen said they were kidnapped, and there were state police looking for them, and of course, nobody will give me access to any of that information. I asked the state police. They, basically told me to kiss their ass. And I'm not going out there. Every time I go out to the state police, they handcuff me, and it ends up being a 4-hour event while they take advantage of me and run my information up from, anywhere from Philadelphia up to Canada to see if I have any wants or, outstanding warrants out there for me. Holy shit. You can't make this up. Anyway, those extraordinary circumstances are going to be a part of the next round of what gets to the appellate level, because I have a mechanism in place now. I understand the documentation, and I was ready. So I'll be ready this time. I'm just waiting for this new half-assed order, and there's a whole set of circumstances around that. But should the court continue down this misguided path of punishing John Maiden without due cause, this matter shall be joined on appeal as part of AD number 533402 before the 3rd Judicial District Court of Appeals in Albany, where the court's gross violations of the law have been well documented and annotated by my attorney, Todd Monahan, out of Schenectady. The Clinton County Family Court cannot award custody to a person with no biological relationship to the minor children as long as a biological parent asserts his custodial rights and is not deemed to be unfit by the court. Since no determination has ever been made finding John Maiden to be quote-unquote unfit, it is the legal responsibility of Clinton County Family Court to correct years of bias and prejudice against John Maiden, as identified by the court's unjustified pursuit of abuse allegations against him in Exhibit B. There are no extraordinary circumstances claimed by Bruno or Lawless that would disqualify Maiden from asserting legal standing for custody of Elizabeth, Victoria, and Aurelia, going all the way back to 2012, as has been previously documented. Next page. This is a money grab by Massengill. This is the redneck money grab. Before, we were even out the door, one of the first things out of Massengill's mouth was, so when can I get John, Ricky, and Kristen to start paying child support. Um, Man, I mean, she doesn't have a place to live up here or anything. They just gave custody to a person that doesn't even have an established residence anymore in New York. So, and she's really hard of hearing, so she was talking loud. They moved her to the table next to me, and I heard her say, "I guess I'm going to have to rent a trailer." So her plan is to stick these girls in a trailer, and I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Really, what I think's going on is that they're going to take off. I mean, from my, I signed up on truthfinder.com to see who these people are, and this woman has, 5 different last names and 7 different addresses going back 20 years, or I guess maybe almost 30 years at this point. It's really weird, but it's not surprising that Bruno would do this. Stay tuned. In summation, I say, each time I have presented evidence of these felonious acts and other objectionable behavior by Kristen Carnahan and Richard Carnahan to Clinton County Family Court, the Clinton County District Attorney's Office, the Clinton County Department of Social Services, Clinton County Child Protective Services, and the New York State Police, Lawless, Bruno, Crookshank, and a revolving door of attorneys ad litem have failed to protect the minor children according to their oaths as officers of the court. Now, the very issues that I have warned the court and Clinton County agencies about for the past 10 years, and the willful ignorance of those agencies and their assigned personnel has jeopardized the very physical safety of my children. And I was writing this before the court proceedings on Friday. I said in capital letters, the fix is in. Obstruction of justice, abuse of power, conspiracy to commit perjury, and the deliberate knowing subordination of perjury by these various authorities have taken numerous illegal and baseless actions against John Maiden while denying him and his daughters their basic civil rights as protected by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Wherefore, I respectfully request that this motion for custody of Elizabeth Maiden, Victoria Maiden, and Aurelia Maiden be granted forthwith, and that the petitioner and his children be made whole in the eyes of the court, but there's going to be a civil suit and a federal suit. So I say, that the petitioner and his children be made whole by reuniting John Maiden with his children after years of court-sanctioned abuse by Lawless and Bruno, as documented throughout these filings and proceedings. This court should not shirk its legal responsibility to protect the rights of minor children and permit the biased, corrupt, illegal decisions by Lawless and Bruno to prevail. Since Bruno refuses recusal, Maiden humbly asks the Honorable Keith M. Bruno to remedy this gross abuse of power and dereliction of duty by sworn officers of Clinton County Family Court and reverse previous decisions made by this court, thereby granting full custody to John Maiden. Further destruction of families and people's lives by these prejudiced, corrupt, biased individuals and the abuse of power must be stopped. And that was on May 17th, 2022, I believe. Or maybe it was June 17th and I forgot to change the date. Anyway, that's it. So I'm going to put this back up on YouTube and a link on Instagram. And I'm sure I'm going to catch shit for it. Who cares at this point? It's my daughter's lives. I got money in the bank. I'll bail myself out. But watch this space. Don't be surprised if I get pulled over by the New York State Police and shot in the head or some bullshit like that. It might happen, but I love my little girls. Bye, babies.